Welcome back. Today we're making this adorable octopus cake. It's made with my go-to vanilla cake layers, and I'm coloring them a light blue, a dark blue, and purple. I'm going to swirl these cake batters together to create a really fun pattern that will make our cake just as exciting on the inside as it is on the outside. Once I've added spoonfuls of that batter into my pans, I try to make sure they have the same amount of batter. Then I use an offset spatula. You could also use a butter knife, and I drag it through the batter to make horizontal and vertical lines to swirl it together in a really pretty way. After swirling together the batter in all four pans, I bake these at 350 degrees for about 34 to 36 minutes, and then after letting them cool, it's time to start working on our cake. So I made two 6-inch and two 7-inch cake layers, and I'm going to start with the 6-inch cake layer on the bottom, add an even layer of buttercream between each cake layer, and then on top of that I'm stacking two 7-inch cake layers. I've trimmed one of my 6-inch cake layers to give our octopus a more rounded head, and once my cake layers are stacked, I spread a thin layer of frosting all around the cake to lock in the crumbs. I smooth it out using an acetate sheet, which is just a flexible piece of plastic, and while I chill my crumb coat, I start to work on my octopus tentacles. To make them, I'm using cake decorating Rice Krispie treats, which really are just melted marshmallows and Rice Krispies. By not adding melted butter like normal Rice Krispies have, they set pretty firmly, and this makes them great for decorating cakes like this. So I shaped out 8 tentacles, and I kind of lined them up with the cake as I made them to make sure they would all fit. I also twisted them at different orientations to make my octopus look a little bit more lifelike and animated. Once I was happy with the way they looked, I colored the rest of my buttercream blue with gel food coloring, and then I used a wide flat piping tip to cover my cake with this frosting. You don't have to use a piping bag for this, it just makes it easier to spread it evenly around the cake. Once I had spread the frosting with my offset spatula and gotten a pretty even layer, I added some dark blue frosting dots onto my cake, and I swirled those together just because a lot of octopi can actually camouflage, and when they do, they look so cool. So this was kind of my attempt at giving this octopus cake that type of a look. Once I had swirled the frosting together, I smoothed it using my acetate sheet again, and then I added another layer of frosting to my tentacles to make sure they were really properly covered. I chilled the cake and then added some light purple frosting underneath the tentacles, and once I had smoothed that, again using my acetate sheet, I piped some really fun little circles underneath to look like suction cups. So I used some dark purple frosting for this and a really small round frosting tip. This was a Wilton 3. I was super happy with this cake at this point, but it did need a face, so I used a little bit of black and white fondant along with some circle cutters to make some kind of cartoonish eyes and a mouth. I also added a party hat just because this octopus looked like he wanted to have some fun. After admiring the cake for a little bit, I decided it was finally time to cut in, and you can see those pretty swirled cake layers are so fun. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. The full recipe and tutorial are also up on Chelsweets.com, and I've included the link in the video description below. So until next time, happy baking!